Hey everyone, it's Jen, and we're doing part two of this water profile building for my double IPA. You can go to my YouTube channel and watch the video I did earlier on how to figure out how we're going to be adjusting our water for today. So you can see we've already done all of that, and I've got my mash water additions. If you watch the other video, then you'll recall that I use Bru'n in a bag, so I don't have any sparge additions. We're only doing mash additions today. So to get started, the first thing I'm going to do is get my scale. This is a tabletop scale. I think I got it on Amazon. You really just need it to be able to do grams. Also, for smaller measurements of weight and ounces, this works really well too. I use this for my water salts, also for my hops. So we're going to get this turned on. And the first thing I'm going to do, I want to make sure that it's in grams. As you can see, we're going to be adding everything in grams here. And then I like to use just these little Rubbermaid guys. And this is what I'm going to be putting all of my salts into. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on there. I'm going to hit this T to tear it out. And this is what I'll be doing between each one of the water additions that I'm adding. So the first one I have here is gypsum, and I'm going to add 15.3 grams. So I've got my gypsum right here, and I'm going to use I'm not terribly precise a lot of times with these, but I've also got my little bitty measuring spoons. I got these for making cheese, but they work really well also for making sure that I'm adding small enough amounts of minerals. So all I'm going to do here is scoop out some gypsum and add that here. This is going to be quite a bit of gypsum because, as you'll recall if you've watched the video, I'm going to be having a very high calcium sulfate level, which is why we're adding all of this gypsum. So you can see that this is kind of a slow going process when you need to add as many grams as we are. So we're adding 15.3, and you can see that right here on my water report. So we'll just keep adding gypsum until we get there. We're getting close. And we went a little bit over, so all we do when this happens, I just take a little pinch out, and then I'll gradually add it back in until I get closer to that 15.3. And as you'll see, most of the time, the difference is like so small. I don't know if it would actually make a difference in the finished beer. If somebody told me that this tasted like 15.4 parts per million gypsum rather than 15.3, I would probably say that they're full of shit. So I'm at about 15.3 grams. This is for my gypsum. So then the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to tare this again to make my next water addition. So you can do this several different ways. The way I always do it is just move some of these items out of the way as I'm adding the salts to kind of make little compartments for it. You can do that. You can also, if you wanted to use a completely new container each time, you can do that as well. I just like to throw it all in here. So then next I've got 3.1 grams of calcium chloride. And I've got my calcium chloride here. And with this, since these are a little bit bigger, the gypsum is, you can see, is kind of like chalk. The calcium chloride is going to be quite a bit bigger. So with these, I'm just going to add a few pinches of it until I get to my 3.1. And for this beer, since this is a double IPA and I am going for that higher sulfate, and I have the about a 3-to-1 calcium to chloride ratio, this is a bit more salts than I would normally add to a beer. But this is going to be, since we're using distilled water, it's a highly mineralized beer. So if I can get a proper fingerful of calcium chloride, I'm going to keep adding until I get to that 3.1. And I am getting close. And again, sometimes this can come down to like one of these little things. And if somebody, so that they could really tell that difference, they're not. Okay, so I've got my calcium chloride added. The next thing I'm going to add is my Epsom salt. And this is going to add magnesium and sulfate to the beer. So Epsom salts, this is this like gross old bag from Target. These are the exact same Epsom salts you use to like soak your feet. And we want 6.1 grams. So you'll see that I tared this again to get it back to 0. And then I'm just going to continue adding my Epsom salt until I get to 6.1. And there we go, a little bit over. Take a couple of these little guys out. All right, so then the last thing I'm going to have to add is going to be my canning salt. So this is table salt. I use Morton's kosher salt. So next, we're going to tear this out again and try to make kind of a little area for it. And then this is like just my kosher salt that sits by my stove. And we don't need too much here, just 2.2. So we're going to add this. And I usually like to start, like you see me doing, with just a couple of small pinches, just to get an idea of how much each one of these weighs, because obviously they're all going to weigh a little bit different. So I'm going to get 2.2, getting very close. And I'll make a little bit of a salt mess everywhere. And it looks like I just need a couple grains more. Now I see why people like pre-measure this out when they're doing cooking videos and everything, because it's a little slow going. So for this is all I need. I have all of my salts added. I added my gypsum. I added my calcium chloride. I added Epsom salt, and I added canning salt, so just regular kosher table salt. And this is going to be everything that I need for my 5.5 gallon batch. So you can see that's it. It's not really a ton. It's actually, when you see how little it is to make how big of a difference in your finished beer, it's really pretty amazing. But this is everything. So I will add that to my mash water tomorrow when I'm starting to get my mash water heated up. Thanks for watching.